Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today is Sunday, and Sunday is our, journey through life. Different stories, different helpful hints, different things that any one of us can tell you about the journey that we've had so far through our lives, in the hopes that we can help somebody, encourage somebody, make somebody's life a little better. And that's what today is. And as I'm sure you've seen from the title, today's story, autobiography, is about the time that I found myself pregnant and found out my husband was going to war. So why don't we start from sort of the beginning of that little bit of story. So I got pregnant, and I had found out, and my husband had been gone for that year. So the fact that I even got pregnant was almost like a miracle, like it was, I don't even know. Yeah, trust me, there was a little whispering going on about how it happened, but trust me, it happened the way it was meant to, not with some other... But anyway, I digress. So he was gone and back because he had been stationed. He's in communications, Signal Corps, which are the people who, radio in. They're also the guys who run the satellites and communications and all of that. But what my husband mainly does is the radio operator. So radio operators, just like certain other trades, they are posted or put into units as an extra, so he can be in any unit doing anything, whatever. He has to be trained to be able to do a lot of different things. So at this particular point in time, he was posted with the PPCLI 3rd Battalion, the Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry Unit, and they were training to be the immediate emergency unit. So if anything happened anywhere in the world, they would be ready to go. So that's what they were training to do, so that they could be operation ready fast. So that year he trained and trained and trained and was gone and was gone and was gone. And then I got pregnant because we had been trying. We wanted a 4th child as well. So, we tried, and finally I got pregnant. And it was actually really exciting. And I found out I was pregnant in August. Yeah, August. And I was excited because his year of training was almost done, actually. And he told me he's going to Wales to train for a couple of months. And once that was done, Christmas time, he would have leave then. And then the next year he may not be with them anymore. And if he was, they weren't going to be training like that because they would be done. So I was excited, happy he'd be here for the baby's birth. Everything was trucking along absolutely wonderfully. He's in Wales training, and I'm at home with our 3 children. They were 7, 5, and 2. 7, 5, and 2. So I had little wee ones, and I was in early stages of pregnancy. So I'm watching TV one day, and to my horror and dismay, and I can't even begin to tell you how I felt. I watched a plane hit a building, and then I watched a second plane hit a building. And we all know, I'm going to cry. It was tragic, and it was awful. And, you sat there glued to the TV, and then I had the fact that my husband wasn't home, and, being that he's in the military, and this is obviously an act of war. There was no way around that. I knew instantly. The moment the first plane hit, I'm like, we're going to war. This is an act of war. And, it was pretty obvious from me right from the get-go. And then I'm like, my husband, would he go? And I think the second day was when I realized, of course he's going to go. He is in the unit that is preparing for immediate readiness, and they're done. This training in Wales is the last training for them. Now, they couldn't come home. He couldn't come home, even though we wanted them to come home. We needed not only comfort from the tragedy, but we needed answers. What's happening? What's going on? It was fearful, and the world wept, and it was just awful. And the not knowing, as you all know, is the worst part. So finally, the Canadian government with the American government's help, they said that soldiers could come home. So certain soldiers that were around the world, there was no commercial flights, but they did start flying soldiers back home to Canada, United States. Because Canada said that, when you guys are going to go to war, we're going to go with you. And that was an instantaneous decision. So when he gets home, he tells me, I'm going to be going. And for the next several months, I'm going to be training. And greedy, selfish Diane was, but you were done. You're supposed to be home with me to spend time with me and help me with my pregnancy. Because we had had a hard pregnancy before that one. And he's like, I can't do anything about this. This is not my choice, nor, I want to do this. This is me serving my country. And the entire reason I joined the military is to protect and serve. And I am going to protect and serve now. So how do you say anything to that? How do you not be proud? How do you not be, encouraging? So that was the stage that I had to get into at that point, was encourage. And it was hard. I wanted to be mad. I wanted to be angry, but So nevertheless, because it took a while for him to come home. So it was almost the end of September. So October, November, December, he's gone. We were lucky they got to come home. The unit got to come home for Christmas. Then they were gone again. And he came back the first week of January. And I don't know if you know or if you can go back in history, but I think the American troops went in January to Afghanistan and started, doing the raids and hunting the Taliban and getting rid of that heinous regime that was, that's just another story time. How about we just say that one? And, so Canadians were going in February. So one day my husband comes home from work, and this is the actually last day before he gets 2 weeks off. He's going to spend time with me and the kids, and I'm really looking forward to this time, trust me. And he comes home and he goes, I'm leaving first thing in the morning. I need to pack. I'm like, what? No, you're not. Nope. You're not. You got 2 weeks off. I want my 2 weeks off. I was like in absolute shock. I'm still shocked. Part of me understood, and part of the selfish part of me was like, no, I want you here. And then the realistic mummy part was like, I want every day I can have, because I don't know how long you're going to be gone. There's nothing set up there, so I don't know how long it's going to be before I can talk to you. So we had that night with him going out and buying everything he needs to take with him, because that country was set up for nothing. So, you had to go shopping and buy Gatorade and all those kinds of things that he's going to want to take with him. Because I can mail him something, but who knows how long that's going to take, right? So that was the night before he left. That was all the warning we had, and that's all he did was pack and shop. So we spent no time together, really. I went with him shopping, but it was not the same. So the next day we took him to the airport, and he was gone. And I will explain the reason he was going, but not the rest of Canada, was the high commanders had gone to set up their area. They were actually at that point in time working directly with the Americans, as in incorporated into the American army, doing things, intertwined together. So some head commanders had gone to set the stuff up, and they needed a radio guy. So they decided that my husband was their best choice, which I guess I'm kind of proud of. And they asked for him, or whoever, to be sent immediately. They needed him ASAP, last week kind of thing. So he goes. And it was kind of cool because the news channels big, huge thing. You know, the first Canadian lands in Afghanistan, and it was a big deal. So it was kind of nice that we got little pictures of him at least, you know. And now we get on to the part where he's gone. And I'm sorry this is going to be a long video. Hopefully you guys stick around and, you know, there's a happy ending. So he's gone, and he's gone to war because I think it took 3 months. Now remember, I'm pregnant and I have 3 little children. I think I didn't hear from him for 3 months, and then finally I get a really choppy phone call. Sorry, I couldn't call. Sorry, I couldn't write. There's no communications right now. That's one of the things I'm doing here. And he was off with commanders and stuff. And he goes, the Canadians are being embedded into American units, and we're going into the hills to search out the Taliban that were hiding in. Osama bin Laden was hiding in the hills as well. They were out there looking for Osama bin Laden, looking for the Taliban, and he was going to be the radio operator to do that. So I'm like, whoa, back 2 steps back. You're going to be in the hills fighting and hunting Taliban. I don't know why my brain disconnected from that. When I sent him off, I just thought he'd be sitting behind a desk, because that's kind of the job that he does, is he sits behind a desk and you know, answers the phone. I am checking something. No, sorry, I had something in my eye. So, you know, in my brain, that was what he was going to be doing in Afghanistan. He was not going to be taking a rifle and humping it up hills and having to potentially shoot at someone or be shot at. My brain disconnected from that. So when he said that was in fact what he would be doing, I lost it, dudes. I lost it hard. Not, you know, because then you realize, yes, I've known all along when I met him that he was in the military. That was never a problem for me. I knew that he would fight for his life and that he may put his life on the line. I knew all of that. I knew that. But trust me when I say to you, you can know that, but when it really happens, whoo, it's an entirely different story. So now I'm on edge, you know, and I did the worst thing you can do, especially being pregnant. I watched the news. I was addicted, to be honest with you. I couldn't stop watching CNN. All I did day in and day out was watch CNN and all the horrors and all the stories. And then I was glued to the news, all the stories about the soldiers. And, you know, we would hear that some Canadians were killed. And then I would sit there waiting and wondering, okay, is it my husband? Was it him? So after I got that phone call, and I said he was gone for a few months at that point, I realized, you know, I need to do something. I have these kids, and I didn't have help. Like, I had a friend who would come by and visit me once in a while, and my mom was around, but she wasn't around. Like, she didn't come over and help me or cook or do any of that. I was raising 3 children, pregnant, by myself, whilst my husband was at war. And I'm not the only one. Trust me, I am not trying to say that I was special or that I was different. I wasn't. I was in the same boat as so many others. And, you know, there were times where I was resentful that I didn't get those last days that everybody else got, you know, being all greedy and selfish. I understood, but I didn't. You know, my brain understood, but my heart didn't. And not hearing from him for months on end, that was not good for me. So I fell into a huge, huge depression. It was bad. I had to stop watching the news. So, you know, I stopped working. My job was wonderful. They allowed me to take a leave of absence so that I could stay home with the kids. And I was pregnant anyway, and I was so depressed and so sad all the time that I needed to concentrate on them. So I pushed it all aside and started painting, renovating. I was doing all kinds of stupid crap. I was crafting. I was crocheting. I was doing it all. I was doing all kinds of stuff. I still have like boxes of this stuff. And, I did have the support of my dear friend, Kim. She was wonderful, and I don't know if she watches these, but if you do, Kimmy, I really do appreciate everything you helped me with. Because I had a baby that was going to be coming, and I didn't have a husband to be there with me. I was by myself with the 3 kids. So the arrangement was that my mom and my friend Kim would be there for me at the end, the delivery and all of that, and then to take care of my children. So as time goes by, I'm getting more and more pregnant. I'm not hearing from my husband. I heard from him that one time. Now, this is months later, right? So in May, the doctor decided, because I was still having some depression, and, they wanted me to have the baby. I think it was to keep my brain occupied, to be honest. Having a husband at war is a very terrifying thing. The unknown, the fear every time you hear that someone got killed or whatever, knowing that he's in that dangerous position doing the most dangerous thing that he could be doing, it took a very big toll on me. And I didn't let the kids know, which, I don't know, I think I did the right thing. I don't think children really they knew their dad was gone, but they didn't know any of the details. They just thought that he was sitting behind a desk working on a computer like he always did. So the day the baby was going to be born came, and my mom was there, and my best friend was there, and my dad had the 2 older were in school, and the little girl, Madison, she was with Grandpa. And I ended up having a very beautiful baby boy, and I got lucky. And my husband, they had been given a few days prior to my birth of the baby, they had been giving phone cards, like an actual credit card that had phone minutes on them. And the Canadians were given these. I don't know about the Americans. I can't say. But they were given these phone cards, and they could phone home and, talk. And they had like 5 minutes. It was because he didn't want to waste them all. So, we do increments of 5 minutes. So I'd heard from him a few times just prior to having Martin. The day of, we knew, the doctor induced me, and this is another reason I think it happened, so that if my husband could potentially be on the phone or call in, then he would know when to do so. And trust me, they only induced me a few days early. It wasn't major. But all the guys that knew him gave him their minutes. So he had all these cards, all these minutes, and he was on the phone for almost my whole labor. Now, it's only 5 hours, so don't be thinking, woo, days and days. No, it was 5 hours from, I think he called when I was probably halfway dilated. And all the guys are cringing right now that are watching this. Ooh, dilated, don't talk about that. No, we're done. When I was halfway ready for birthing, he was on the phone, and he stayed on the phone. And how do you yell at somebody? So I didn't get to yell at nobody. I didn't get to curse. I didn't get to be, oh, you did this to me, because he's in Afghanistan. He's in a war zone. All these wonderful dudes gave him their phone minutes. So dang, I had to hold that stuff in. But let's just say that the next baby, I made up for that a lot. So I had the baby by myself with my friend and my mom. And after that, my friend had a life. She had a little child of her own, so she couldn't be around. My mom just kind of disappeared. And now I'm raising a newborn, 2-year-old, 5-year-old, 7-year-old. And that was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. And the fact that we made it through all of that, it was, I want to say something, and I don't know how to say it the right way. I want to say it was like I was not at war. See, that's not, it was like I had the biggest trial of my life as well. That's what we'll do. Yeah. The hardest thing, the most difficult thing, and I had to fight every day to get up, every day to take care of the kids, every day to make sure they were happy and healthy and well-adjusted, and now take care of a newborn baby, which, if anybody's ever had a baby, you know how hard it is, right? You don't get any sleep. I nurse my babies, and I guess that made it slightly easier. I'm really not sure. But then I had a toddler in diapers as well still. So I don't know how I did it. If I'm being totally honest, I don't know. I think some miracle from God came down and just sort of weaved things the way they needed to be so that I could get out of that alive, so that the kids could get out of that alive, so that my husband could come home alive. And he was gone for 8 months, 9 months, 10 months. I'm not really 100% sure. And just like all the other guys, he was one of those guys coming home and meeting his newborn baby for the first time, seeing his newborn baby for the first time. I don't know. There was some miracle happening around then. I really do think there had to have been, because I don't know how I did it. It just, I don't know. And I don't know how he did it. I do not know how he walked with those rucksacks on his back, carrying a big, huge, heavy gun. Plus he, unlike the other dudes, had to carry a big, honking, huge radio on his back as well. I do not know how he did it, because we were in our mid-30s at the time. We were not young anymore. And maybe that's another thing. I wasn't exactly young either, which maybe helped and hurt, because I had harder pregnancies when I was older. But I was obviously a more seasoned mother, seasoned person in general. But, you know, in the end, it all worked out. But it was so hard. Every day making sure the kids had food on time, and shopping and cleaning and doing all the things that parents have to do. I had to do it. I had to do everything. And I had a lot of help from my daughter. She really grew up a lot during that time. And, you know, it was like everybody in the world had to step up and protect each other from evils. And I had to do my part as well. And I know a lot of you had to do your part too. You had to take care of a baby. You had to sadly bury a loved one. You had to say goodbye to somebody you love. You were afraid every day and afraid to leave your house because you were scared that there were going to be more terrorist attacks. I think all of us went through something incredibly difficult during that specific time in history, if you were alive and old enough to remember. And in some ways, I'm glad my kids really don't. I want them to know about it so that, you know, we can prevent things from that from happening again. But it's tragic. It's tragic for everyone. And let's just pray that we can fix things like that. And, you know, am I a little hippy dippy? Maybe a little. But my husband did the right thing. You know, I know a lot of people don't agree with war, don't agree with soldiers doing what they do. But I will tell you that I'm proud of my husband. I don't know what he did there. In general, I do, but I don't. And I don't want to. If he wants to tell me, he can. And if he doesn't, he doesn't. He has some traumas that linger still. And it's been a really long time. And I have some traumas that linger for me too. There were a lot of hard things I had to do back then. But I did it. He did it. He came home. I'm so happy and thankful. And if you, and this is why I'm doing this video, if you're watching this and you're in the same place as I was then, you can do it. I did it. And I'm nothing special, trust me. I'm not special. I didn't have any handbook. I didn't even have the internet back then. You know, I'm not special. I'm not super anything. But you can do it. Trust me. You can do it. You can do it. You know, be supportive of them. They need that. Trust me. And soldiers, you need to be supportive of the wives too. You know, they need encouragement and love as well. And soldier women, support your men. They need it too. I think sometimes we forget about the men married to military members who they themselves are not in the military. We think, oh, they're men. They don't need any extra. They do. As much as a girl, as much as a female. The only difference is they're not having a baby. But they might have the kids. to take care of. They might have a baby to take care of. So there you go. They may not be pregnant, but that's the only difference. Be supportive of them. Help them. Support the military families, the military wives, the military children. Support the spouses. Support them. And that's all I can ask. You know, they sacrifice for us, hoping that another September 11th will not happen. My husband went and fought a war to help prevent another September 11th from happening. And I'm really proud of him. So that's my Sunday. I know it's long and I'm very, very sorry. I really tried not to cry, dudes. It was hard. Anyway, bless you all. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, I cannot believe it. Thank you. Be supportive. Love one another. Take care of each other. Until next time. Bye.